The lost bard wandered forward. His injured leg was the least of his concerns. No matter which way he looked, he had no clue where he was going. Aimlessly, he trudged along until he found marble ruins covered in ivy. Timidly, he advanced on. A slithering sound greeted him as he reached the first steps. Something stirred in the shadows. Something large. His eyes went wide as he saw a woman approach, beautiful and hideous at once. He was frozen in place at her visage. Not even his fright could make him utter a scream. Welcome to Mythical Phylogeny Adventures. I'm your guide, Jason. Today, we meet the infamous Medusa. Let's see what we can make of her, and if we can follow the footsteps of Perseus in defeating such a foe. I'm sure you've heard of Medusa before, but how much do you really know? Well, let's begin with her birth to the sea deities Perseus and Cyto in the early Greek pantheon. They were both children of Gaia and Pontus. She also had two sisters, Spheno and Uriel. Together, those three are known as the Gorgons. But even then, Medusa was unique. She was born mortal. We'll look at how two gods can have a mortal child in a bit. Regardless, Medusa was known for her beauty, rivaling even gods, and that beauty drew Poseidon's attention. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. When it comes to Greek mythology, problems come from one of two sources. 1. Zeus, Poseidon, and Aphrodite can't keep it in their pants. And 2. Hera, Athena, and Apollo are arrogant. When it comes to this story, both are true. While Medusa was in Athena's temple, Poseidon forced himself on her. Now, Athena got mad at this and punished Medusa for the events. Any punishment for Poseidon isn't mentioned, but there is a second version of the events. I mentioned that Medusa's beauty could rival gods, and the woman boasted about it until she angered Athena, who then cursed her. Which version sounds the most likely? Honestly, with this one, it could very easily be both. But there is one I find more likely, as you'll see. Regardless of which version you follow, Athena turned Medusa's beautiful hair into a writhing mass of snakes that hissed and snapped at anyone near her. Worst of all, anyone who looked at her directly was turned to stone. The rest of her looks vary with the tellings over the centuries. You can even track this change in Greek artwork. In some stories, she remained a woman except for her hair, but in others, her transformation continued. Her legs became a long serpentine tail, while she sprouted wings. Regardless, she fled the temple and went into hiding. The location is up to debate, but some sources say that it is somewhere in Libya, northern Africa. The only ones who know her true location were Medusa's relatives, the Graea, the gray-haired sisters who shared but one tooth and one eye. Though there is disagreement on the next part. When Perseus was sent out to slay her, he received Hades' hat of invisibility, Hermes' winged shoes, Hephaestus' sword, and Athena's shield. You see, some versions say that Athena felt sorry for Medusa, and others that she wanted to continue punishing Medusa. But the Gorgon fell into a depression from everything she had gone through. Regardless, Athena aided Perseus as he went after her, and we'll get to how to battle her a little later. After he killed Medusa, he brought her head back in a sack, for it still carried the power to turn people to stone. This includes sea monsters and the god Atlas. As Perseus flew away, Medusa's blood dripped from her neck and landed on the ground, bringing forth her two children, the winged horse Pegasus and the giant Chrysaor. The final resting place of Medusa's head was given to Athena and bound in her shield. That's a lot to unpack. Let's go back to the beginning. How do two divine beings have a mortal child? The answer is simple. Perseus and Sato are siblings. We have a very simple case of inbreeding depression. After that, we have the monstrous appearance. Let's focus on the least human design to begin, and you can work backwards as needed. I covered much of the serpent woman build before with the Lamia video a couple months ago. I'll go over the important parts for this one. Snakes don't have a sternum and ribs can't connect to it. So we'll go back to a human rib cage to provide the lung setup and the torso design, but we'll keep the human hips. Not for legs, but for an attachment for the wings when they do appear. This means we won't have to duplate all the muscles and overload the chest area. She can fly when she has wings, and that would let her cross the Mediterranean Sea easier. I don't know how well she can fly with that body design though. But flight was rarely mentioned. Her parents are sea deities. I'm sure they could provide her with safe travel over the water. Replacing the fused human tail with a longer serpentine one is simple. But the most important detail is her serpentine hair. How much control she has over the snakes on her head is questionable. Nothing mentioning it. Let's assume she doesn't have any control. If that is true, then each snake would only need its own brain. But I would also add a respiratory system, else we'd have to reroute a connection to the nasal cavity. If she can't control the snakes, she'll get bitten frequently, but chances of the snakes fighting can be low depending on the species. If she can control them, we just need a connection to the brain. Now, let's look at her weapon, the power to turn people to stone, be a mortal or god. This sounds like fossilization. If a body is buried quickly upon death, then the open spaces are filled with groundwater. Then it can be fossilized. Over time, minerals will replace the remains over centuries. Usually, it'll be bones which remain, and the soft tissues are lost. This is due to soft tissues being broken down by bacteria within the body and the dirt. But if we can accelerate the fossilization process, we can prevent tissue decay. We see this in animals that were buried in resin, tar, or ice, for example. We have a problem. This happens to people who look at Medusa, not people being buried alive, which means we need to bring the minerals to replace the tissue from somewhere, probably from the ground. So we'll need magic to bring the soil up and replace the tissue of the body, and very quickly at that. Lastly, we have her two children, a flying horse and a giant. Their father is Poseidon, after all, from his assault on her. This means we can guess at how long Medusa was in her monstrous form. Less than 10 months or so, assuming that her offspring weren't delayed in development, which also is possible, especially since they emerged from her blood, not her body. Most likely, the transformation into a monster also transformed her sons. When her blood fell upon the earth, domain of Gaia, their grandmother, they were freed. Now, Poseidon, while being the god of the sea, was also a horse god. Thus, the seahorse, and the mythical creature called Hippocampus. So, a child taking a horse-like form isn't too hard, nor would Chrysaor being a giant. Let's look at how Perseus killed Medusa next. Our tale is very clear on it. While invisible and flying, Perseus flew in while Medusa was asleep and cut her head off. He only looked at her in the mirrored surface of his shield. Yeah, no great battle happened. Only a stealth specialist. Best when sneaking into a dangerous place filled with monsters. But how would you actually fight Medusa? The first step is not to see her. If you can't see her, you can't be turned to stone. That sounds simple. Do you know a spell of darkness, a fog that can blind you? Well, that's easy, right? If not, close your eyes. Put on a blindfold. Yep, Daredevil would have an easy time against her. But there's another option. Do what Perseus did. Fight with inverted controls. Fight while looking in a mirror. The spell of her look gets distorted in the reflection. Sounds like a gamer challenge. Can you fight something behind you easily though? No, it'll be hard to gauge distances. So I'd go with a longer weapon. Spears or swords for thrusting. I don't think a bow would work either. Too bulky, needs both hands, and hard to aim backwards. After that, go big. Large scale area of effect fireballs and blizzards can hit around corners you can't see. This lets you attack without seeing your foe. Just don't get caught in the blowback. If you are fighting in close quarters, well, you have made a mistake, because you'll probably see her face. But if you do, she has human hands, which doesn't limit her to punching and grabbing. But she may have a serpent tail, which can wrap around and crush you. Plate armor will limit this the best. Better if your armor has spikes. But then, it'll be hard not to look her in the eyes. If you do, you'll be turned to stone, and you're dead. Also, be careful. I haven't found anything about whether the snakes on her head are poisonous or not. If you get too close, though, you can find out. Nothing says how she would respond to cold weather, so I don't know if lowering the temperature in the room will leave her sluggish. Just be careful. Her sisters may be nearby and come to her side if the fight goes long. Overall, Medusa can be a difficult opponent to fight. More of the conditions of the fight though. You can't look at her. You'll have to adapt to either fighting while looking in a mirror or in the dark. You'll be risking being turned to stone. That's why stealth will be the best route here. I'm going to give Medusa a 7 of 10 for difficulty in this fight. Plan ahead and be very careful here. Once you take her head, well, you take her head. If I'm dead, you still can't look at it, but keep it in a bag. When you're going into a dangerous situation, pull it out and show your trophy to your foes. If their eyes are open, they'll be turned to stone. You can end the battle in an instant. Sounds great, but dangerous. You could get some poison from the snakes on her head. Her scales are usable to make leather goods. After that, not much is usable from her remains. There's one final thing to speak of. Regardless of why Medusa was transformed, she fell into a depression, isolated, unable to look a person in the eye, hard to hold a conversation. If anyone got close, her snakes will bite them. A sad and lonely fate for her to suffer. Slaying her will put her out of her misery. Do your good deed on your quest and free this woman from her curse. Now, what happens to her victims? Well, most tales say that they may be freed with her death. They will be blessed and may reward you, trapped in their own living hell. Are they aware or not? Well, that no one knows, but some say that they will die, which depends on the storyteller. Alto didn't move. He couldn't move. No thought existed in his mind. He simply was, petrified, as hard as stone, and immovable. Alto the bard was a statue decorating the Gorgon's home. And there he remained for years beyond counting. Any fame he built was lost in those years. All the while, he had only one visitor, that of Medusa as she passed by on her way to forage in isolation. Medusa is a sad story, a tragedy. Misfortune and pride have left her isolated and cut off from the world. No longer praised for her looks, but rejected for her curse. Thank you for watching, adventurers. Please return next week, where we should go looking for the Adana, the seven-song bird. Until then, I'll see you on the roads.